why anarchy is stupid on this week's Hot Take! To be honest, I cannot even believe that I have got to explain this. But apparently, there are some buffoons out there who actually believe that anarchy is a good idea. So in the past, anarchists were simply communist revolutionaries trying to bring about Marx's ideal capitalist-free society. But in today's world, unfortunately, we have a similarly utopian group of people who are basically libertarians who have taken the idea that the state is evil to an extreme. Let me start by pointing out the viewpoints that anarchists and libertarians and conservatives such as myself have in common. The first being that we all believe that people are born with certain inalienable rights. Typically, those rights would be considered to be things like the right to life, the right to liberty, the right to property, and those sorts of things. And that you have those rights simply by virtue of being born. Religious people such as myself would say they come from God. Non-religious people would say that you just have them. We also generally agree that the government tends to be very ineffective and inefficient at doing all manner of activities, particularly regulating economic activity. Now, what a libertarian or a conservative would say is that because we know that governments, when given too much power, can become tyrannical, and we know that, generally speaking, government, even when you have well-intentioned people in charge, tend to be inefficient and ineffective at regulating a lot of things, that it is generally best to limit government's power to certain areas and not allow them to go into areas outside of what you have limited them to. Whereas an anarchist believes that government should just be abolished entirely. And this seems to me to be an enthusiastically naive viewpoint that you can simply expect human beings to not abuse each other's natural rights without some sort of force being there to protect those rights for everybody involved.
Hey, whoa there, statist. It's not like there'd be no way for people to protect their natural rights without government, okay? People could buy guns and hire private security, and, the free market will provide, man.
Wait, hold up. Who the hell are you? Why are you not wearing a shirt? And why are you wearing my gym shorts on your head and carrying a sword for some reason?
Because I'm an anarchist and I say, fuck the government, woo! Non-aggression principle, yeah!
Listen, dude, before we go any further, I'm gonna need you to put a shirt on. This is a family show, okay?
Okay, fine. Fucking statist. There, you happy now, statist?
That shirt looks awfully familiar for some reason, but whatever, let me address your argument. First of all, you're making a very large assumption that a free market society where you could still have gun shops and private security that would be accessible to most people could even function without a bare minimum of government to actually protect those businesses from being robbed or vandalized. And not to mention the fact that in a society with no laws, there's much less of an incentive for people to make an honest buck. Like, why go out and start a business if you can just steal resources from somebody else? So that's a pretty big assumption that you'd even have those options. And even if such options were available, that still would put every individual in the position of having to be better armed and have better security than anyone who might potentially come after them. So you've still created a sort of situation where the strong can have their rights protected, but the weak, not so much. And if there's no mechanism to protect everybody's natural rights, then those rights really don't mean all that much.
Well, listen, man, it's not that we don't believe that people shouldn't cooperate and all that. People can just come together and, cooperate and find and create an organization, to protect, where they all just come together and in a group and protect each other's natural rights. You don't need government for that.
People coming together to protect their natural rights. That sounds an awful lot like a government to me.
No, it's not the same thing. Governments are all about violence and coercion, not cooperation, man. This organization would be all cooperative. You wanted to leave at any time, you could. And no violence. We're all about the non-aggression principle, okay?
No, you're talking about a government. Because a group of people who voluntarily come together for the purpose of protecting each other's natural rights is going to need a couple of things in order to be effective. First, they're going to need to agree on what everybody's natural rights are. They're also going to need to agree on what steps this organization they're forming is allowed to take to protect said natural rights. You're also going to need a way of deciding who gets to make the decisions for this organization. You may have noticed that outlining what rights people have, how decisions for this organization get made, and determining what this organization can and can't do is basically a constitution. So once you've got all that figured out, then you would need to determine what actions someone could take that constitutes a violation of someone else's natural rights. So basically you would have to set up rules for what people could not do because it's a violation of somebody else's natural rights. You might call such rules laws. And then once you've decided on those laws, then you're going to need somebody to enforce those laws. Because at some point, you're going to run into someone who, for whatever reason, is going to decide that day that they don't want to follow those laws. Or at least that they don't want to follow a particular law. Or you might encounter people who are not part of your organization who want to come in and violate the natural rights of people who are part of your organization. Now, in order to prevent such things from happening, or to have a way to defend yourself against people who try to do such things, you might need something resembling a police force and a military. And then once you've got all that worked out, you might need some people to adjudicate disputes between members of this organization in cases where who was right and who was wrong is not obviously apparent. And also you'll need people to hand out sentences for the laws that have been passed and the people have been arrested for. You might call such people judges who have judicial authority. So congratulations, you now have a government. So whether you like it or not, you get government either way. Either you voluntarily form a government with the consent of the governed, and you put certain limits on its power, and you get a say in what it does, or one day you have a person or a group of people who just decide that they want to rule over other people, and they form a government, and they force you to be part of it, and you get no say in it whatsoever. So yeah, you get government either way. Anarchy is a utopian, asinine fantasy. That's my take. Hey there, fellow denizens of the internet. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it, leave a comment, share it with your friends, or even hit the subscribe button if you feel like it. For those of you who have been following my channel, you may have noticed that this has been the first time in a while I've actually done one of these. I kind of went on an unplanned hiatus for a little while. Just kind of had other things coming up in life. You know, this isn't my day job, obviously, so had to focus on that. I was trying to do stuff with my church, and just other kind of various more important things were coming up, and that combined with I really wasn't seeing anything in the news that made me feel passionate enough to put any of that stuff to the side long enough to do one of these. But I do plan to be more active going forward, particularly after the start of the new year. Hopefully I'll have a more regular release schedule by then. So thank you so much for supporting this channel, and stay tuned. I'll see you soon.